Furthering fair housing. Um, as mentioned earlier, RRHA is very committed to working with our residents and stakeholders and surround the city of Richmond and surrounding jurisdictions to eliminate barriers to any of our residents and or prospective residents equal access to housing programs and services. To that end, RRHA has continued to work toward accomplishing the goals that have been outlined in a regional analysis of impediments to fair housing choice, identified in conjunction with the city and surrounding jurisdictions. We will continue to further fair and equitable housing with the development of a compliance department to better assess and address agency and client needs. RRHA will continue to provide telephonic and document translation services for persons who are in need of translation services. And RRHA will look to equip all of its Blackwell senior cottages with sensory equipment for our residents who are hearing and or sight impaired. We will increase rental housing choices. Again, we are constantly increasing the number of property based voucher units. We continue recruiting new landlords to expand housing choice to our Housing Trust Voucher participants. RRHA has already submitted over 3,000 applications and has received nearly $4 million to pay towards tenant balances and will continue to offer repayment agreements to give families more time to get past due balances paid and bring their rental accounts current, as well as continue to assist families with applying for rental relief assistance if and when it becomes available. RRHA will continue its efforts to assist residents and participants with attaining home ownership. We discussed that in previous slides. And accessing high opportunity areas by reestablishing our landlord briefings, continuing our partnership with Housing Opportunities Made Equal, and entering into memorandums of understanding with Homeward and other agencies around the city. Finally, we will continue to enhance our fair housing knowledge and awareness, both internally for our staff as well as for our participants and or residents on any of our assisted housing programs through training for staff and regularly posting updates to regulations on our website. That completes our annual agency plan presentation for fiscal year 2023 to 2024. If you have not done so already, please place your name in the chat along with your affiliation as a resident, a community member, and or affiliation within an organization. If you could do that now, we would greatly appreciate it. During the public comment period, we ask that you keep your comments to 2 minutes related to the presentation that has just been given. If you are able to use the raise hand button, we ask that you do that in the virtual world just to try and maintain some order in getting everyone's comments. If you've already submitted a comment in person during the 12 noon public meeting or in writing by email or mail, we have already received and will document your comment. So at this time, if you would indicate a raised hand, if you'd like to issue a public comment, you may do so. Give us your name, your affiliation, and state your comment within 2 minutes. Okay, the first I see Carmen Second Fire. You can unmute it. State your name and affiliation.
Okay, so I'm Carmen Zarrell, and I'm a concerned citizen, and I just want to, thank you all for this presentation, but also I just want to make some quick points here because I feel like a whole lot of this plan thing is not only unclear, but it's unfair as well as contradictory. And here's why I say that. Because first of all, with this debt collection, stuff that hasn't been repaired, cleaned, let alone the electricity issue, that shouldn't be counted as such. And not only that, but how the electricity thing even went, it's to me illegal because that should have been separated and Dominion Power should have dealt with it so that way if people needed help with electricity issues, they could have went to social service. And not only that, but my other thing too is was recyclables and things because I just seen an article that said HUD had approved $837 million for a green and resilient retrofit program for multifamily housing. And, you know, I'm just trying to figure out what that looks like. And then one more thing is this, because I'm finding that the homeless population is increasing and issuing Section 8 vouchers is not suitable because number one, it's too much corporate interest in it. And number two is because of portability. And so I feel like once again, this whole draft needs to be not only revised, but it's also needs to stop with this traumatizing of these tenants because case in point of guilt in court. They've been going through that since 1947 when it first opened up. And I just don't think that it's right or fair or equitable for people to keep facing that. That's a generational trauma. And it's time to clean up this trauma. It's time to stop saying about responsibility on tenants to pay for stuff and everything when it's some shady stuff going on around here. And then I'm concerned about the current employees and all what that looks like. So it's a whole lot I feel like needs to be brought up again. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you very much. I don't see any more raised hands. Any comments toward? Thank you. Okay, I can't see a name, but it says Salo6. So if you're logged and you have your hand raised from an G phone, please unmute yourself to provide your comment.
Can you hear me, Ms. Trotter?
Yes, I can hear you, Ms. Garnett.
I did put my name in the chat as Ruth Dabney Garnett, RAD, okay?
Thank you.
Having computer problems. I would just like to say overall, this is a good agency plan. We cannot please everyone. I'm just speaking from my perspective, okay? I'm very, very pleased. What's his name? Tony's Webb with the public safety revisions and what you plan to do for the communities. I think that's great. I'm also pleased with the fact that you have considered designated housing for the elderly and or disabled. You always have to keep the seniors in mind because I'm a senior. Also, Blackwell, the sensory equipment. I think that's great. So they can be aware of what's going on and they can be protected as in this particular plan. So to have to, I just want to say that when you're talking about conducting activities for further fair housing, I think that's a good thing to do. So basically, I am very pleased with the agency plan, and I know that you've done the best that you could to make all of us happy, and I thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Okay. Any other requests to issue a public comment regarding RRHA's, the draft of RRHA's 23-24 annual agency plan? Okay, hearing and seeing none. I thank you all very much for your time this evening.
Belinda?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Before the meeting started, though, Ms. Dream Boyd had put not comments but questions in the chat for us to consider.
Okay. So we will respond there's contact information. I was told at the beginning we would just take comments and any questions which we would respond to separately.
Also, Ms. Harris has commented that Kiera Harris said she would like to make a comment.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank
Hello.
you, Ms. Harris.
Hi, I'm a Gilbert Fall resident. I'm also a current resident of Gilbert Court. My first comment, I would like to make a statement about the funds that was advocated for the resources for residents services. I believe that the funds specifically for that should be more that has been allocated on the recent plan that I see so far. Also, I have a question that pertains to for the vouchers. It was stated that now that the funds, if you owe any rental funds orders, they can be paid in full. But at first it was stated that a rental payment agreement is good standing. Does that still apply for new applicants for the upcoming vouchers that are redeveloped or does not?
I think because it's pertaining to the presentation, I think we can offer clarification. Is Mrs. Green still on?
I think she is still on.
Sorry, yes, I am still here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Ms. Harris just wanted clarification regarding good standing. When, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Harris, when applying for housing or being selected for housing, are you considered in good standing if you have a repayment agreement in place?
Absolutely. As long as you have paid as agreed with your repayment agreement. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Any other comments pertaining to the presentation this evening? Thank you all very much for your time. We will receive comments until tomorrow, Friday, May 19th, via email at info@rrha.com or our mailing address, or at our physical mailing address, which I will put on the screen right now. If you want to write it down. And I'm just going to give you just a minute or so. Got the information down. If you care to make a public comment that you did not have the opportunity to make today, you may continue to do so through tomorrow, Friday, May 19th. Okay. Any other comments that have been placed in the chat will also be considered as part of our public comment period pertaining to RRHA's 2023-2024 annual agency plan. Thank you all for joining us. This will conclude our presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Trotter.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
Very pleased with all of you all.
Thank you.
all. Gotta do better, but thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.